Okay, so welcome to today's session on SAGE research methods. My name's Chloe Turner and I'm the library trainer here at SAGE Publishing. And I've organised these webinars in partnership with Vertus Kuwait, who sell a number of our products in the Kuwait, in Kuwait. And they've asked us to do these webinars to help promote these products. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me on my email address there, chloe.turner@sagepub.co.uk, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have, either after you've watched the live event and you've had time to digest all the information, or after you've watched the recording back this afternoon. So to jump straight in then and introduce you to what we'll be covering. So I'll start off with an introduction to SAGE research methods on my PowerPoint slides here. And then the SAGE research methods collection is made up of a number of different content types. And I'll run through each of these individually. Someone's just asked about receiving the recording. So everyone who registered and signed up will receive the recording probably a couple of hours after the live event. So yes, and the slides, so that's absolutely fine. And then I'll leave some time at the end for a Q&A session as well. So SAGE Research Methods is a database that contains just over 6,400 resources and is completely dedicated to the subject area of research methods. So as we know, students and researchers across a wide range of disciplines will probably have to do some kind of research project as part of their qualification. Not all those research projects will look similar, but there usually is a research element to that. So that makes research methods almost a universal subject area. And when we launched this database back in 2011, we really wanted to make sure that we were kind of capturing all of those different disciplines and subject areas. So we do support a broad range of disciplines on the platform. It also supports all stages of the research process from start to finish. So from when you're just beginning to design and create your research question, all the way through to thinking about publication and disseminating your research beyond the university. So no matter what discipline you're studying in or the stage you're at in your research project, you should be able to find something in this database that will help you. And I've just included the direct link there to the platform just at the bottom of the screen. The next slide here just gives an overview of the 11 different modules which currently make up the SAGE Research Methods collection. And universities can subscribe to these in any combination and in any number. So you may only have one, you may have 3, or you may have all 11. And you can choose to subscribe to any of them that you like as well. We've split them up into these different modules because they're different content types and therefore have a different focus in terms of what they might be able to help with in terms of your user needs at your university. So you can choose which ones you subscribe to, and I'll run through these in detail for you a bit later on. And again, we've got the direct link to the platform. So this is a prompt for me to switch over. So if anyone's got any questions, you can put them to me in the chat now, if you like. Are there any questions? So I've just switched over to the SAGE Research Methods homepage, and this is the main starting point for you finding your way into the database. However, you can access it usually through your library website or A to Z list of databases. So I would recommend that you make the database listed if you do have an A to Z listing on your library website. You may also want to include the links on any reading lists that you put together to share with your students. And also, if you're a librarian, you may also want to include that on a subject guide just to increase the visibility of the database if you have access to it. However, we do attempt to make the content as discoverable as possible. So for the librarians on the call, we provide MARC records, which means you can index the content in the database to be in your library catalogue and any common discovery layers that you may be using. And we also make the content discoverable through common search engines such as Google and Bing as well. So really, no matter where your users may usually begin their search for library resources, you should be able to find content from the SAGE Research Methods database. So there's a couple of ways that you might get started. Browsing's a good one if you are perhaps not quite sure of your keyword search terms yet. So you can browse by topic, and these are some really kind of key stages of a typical research project that you might have to go through. And these are, and clicking on any of these links is going to take you through to an area of the platform called the methods map, which is one of our research tools. And this is a really visual and introductory tool that allows researchers to understand how different concepts are related in the research methods process. But we'll come and have a look at that research tool towards the end of the presentation. We also have the option to browse by discipline. If you click on any of these links, it's going to take you through to some resources that we think will be useful for you in that particular discipline. And then we also have the option to browse by content type. So this takes you, if you click on any of these links, this will take you through to a complete list of all the resources within that one content type. So if, for example, you knew you wanted to show a video to a group of students, perhaps to share on your learning management system, you can click on videos there to see all of the videos that are available to you as part of your subscription. So a couple of ways to start with your browsing there. However, I'm going to start my search just with interviews, mainly because everyone's quite familiar with what interviews involve as a data collection technique. And I just want to show you what your search results page would look like. So you have all your search results here in the middle of the screen, and you can see that it's picked for me my keyword search term of interviews there, so I can make a relevancy judgment as to whether this book might be useful for me. I also have some filters here which you can apply to help narrow down the amount of search results you're getting in the center of the screen. But we'll come and have a look at this towards the end of the presentation. So I'm just going to click on this book here. Let's go inside interviewing. And this will take me through to what I call the electronic contents page of the book. So you can see here as I scroll down that I'm getting a number of different links to chapters in the full text that I may want to click on. So I can see if any of those look interesting. If not, or I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for, I can use this option here, finding this book, to search for a particular part of the interview process that I'm interested in learning more about. So we can see here that I'm going to look at how to analyse my interview. So for search for analysis, we can see that in this chapter here, computer assisted analysis of qualitative interview data, there's 54 occurrences of my keyword search term of analysis. So that's a fairly strong indication that that chapter is going to be the most useful for me if I'm looking at different ways of analysing my interview data. So I can click on the chapter title, and this will then take me through to the full text of the chapter. And you can see that it's highlighted my keyword for me there in purple. And as I scroll through really quickly here, this is the full text that you've got access to on the screen. And you can also see really clearly where the keyword is highlighted in the text. So I can quickly jump to a paragraph, for example, scan through the paragraph and make a really quick decision as to whether this chapter is going to be useful for me and my research purposes. If this was a print copy that you've got off the library shelf, that decision, that relevancy judgment might take you a lot longer if you're having to scan everything from front to back. As well as being able to read the chapter on the screen, you can also download our chapters as PDFs just by clicking on the download PDF button here. This will then open up the chapter for you in a new window, and this will then allow you to download the chapter as a PDF, so you can then save that to your memory stick to read offline. And you can also print the PDFs off as well if you prefer to make handwritten notes. So we've tried to make that as flexible and as easy for you as possible, depending on how you might like to share resources with your students, as well as you being able to study independently and organise the resources into folders or packs, I suppose, in terms of how you might like to organise your thinking. To the right of the chapter title, we also have a number of interactivity icons. So if you wanted to get a citation or a reference for the chapter you were currently looking at, you can click on Cite and then get a reference for it in any of these 5 styles. So then you can just copy and paste that into your reference list. We've also got the option here as well to export the references into any number of reference management softwares. So if you're using RefWorks, you can select it from the list, click on Open, and then that will download the reference for you in the usual way. So hopefully that will just save you a bit of time in terms of managing and constructing your references. The third option here is the ability to share. So if you were running a search on behalf of a student, or you came across a resource that you thought a colleague might find interesting, you may want to just quickly share it with them by clicking on the icon here, entering a little bit of information about themselves to get set up, click on Send, and that's then going to email them a direct link to this chapter on the Sage Research Methods platform, so that they don't have to try and find the resource themselves from the home page. The second option here is the list feature. So as a member of a university that has a subscription to Sage Research Methods, and also depending on the modules that you have access to, you will be able to access that content in the full text by authenticating through your library website or by some of the methods that I mentioned earlier. But there are a couple of extra things that you can do on the Sage Research Methods platform that will allow you to personalise or customise your experience, I suppose. And one of these includes the ability to create your own lists of resources. So this allows you to create a list around a particular theme or topic related to research methods. So I've been looking at ways of doing interview data analysis. So I might want to collect some resources all in one place to then share with a group of students who I may be teaching on analysis techniques, or I might just be an independent researcher or student trying to find resources that might help me further down the line with the analysis section of my project. So if you would like to have access to the ability to create reading lists, you will need to create a profile on the Sage Research Methods platform. And to do this, you just need to click on the profile button here, and then click on Create Profile from the bottom of that small window. You'll then be taken through to a new page here where you'll just need to enter a little bit of information about yourself to get set up. Click on Save, and then you'll be ready to go with your profile. But I'm just going to log in with my own profile here, just so I can show you how this list feature works in practice. So log in. And now you can see that instead of having the green profile button, it now says logged in my profile. So that's how I know the platform has recognized me as that individual user. And now if I click on my profile, if I click on list here, I can choose then to add this resource to an existing list. So these are just some reading lists that I've made during other customer training sessions. Or I might want to create a brand new list. So I'll just call this one Virtus Create. Make sure that's selected to private, so only people that I share the list with will be able to view it. And then if I click on Create, I'll get this message here to tell me that my list has been created. And then if I want to see any lists that I've made, I just need to go to my profile and then my reading lists. And there we can see that at the top of my list of reading lists here is the list that I just created with the book chapter that I just added there. So if I just scroll down, you can see that I've got quite a few different lists on different topics. So you can create as many different lists as you like, and you can also add as many resources to one list as well. So you're not limited in terms of those numbers. And when you finish creating your lists, you can choose to share entire lists. You can also get all the citations for all the resources on the list. And you can also embed lists as well in your virtual learning environment or learning management system just by copying and pasting this small piece of embed code. So there's quite a lot of things you can do after you've finished creating the lists. So I'm just going to go back to the home page now just to show you some of the ways that you might use the filters that we mentioned after you've run your own keyword search. But are there any questions at all? Let's see. Someone's asked, are all the resources valid and peer reviewed, and can I cite it in the academic research field? So all the content before it goes onto the platform is checked for academic quality. It doesn't go through the sort of formal peer review process that, say, journal articles do, but all of the resources are written by academics. Any new content that we produce is checked for quality by an editorial advisory board that we work with to help us guide and maintain the direction of the platform going forward. So you can use that as a guide if that helps answer your question. Are there any other questions at all? Okay. Any more questions? Okay, yeah, someone's just doing a little bit of practice. Excellent. Okay, right, so I've just come back to the home page here just by clicking on the logo. And I'm just going to run my search again now for interviews, just so we can have a look at some of the filtering options and some of the different content types that are available to you. So I mentioned that there's a couple of ways to get to different content types. And you can get to the different content types by using the browse menu here and clicking on them. You can also get to the different content types by using the tiles here just beneath the quick search box as well. But I'll just be using my search here just to show you, but just bear that in mind if you are looking for different methods in terms of how you get to the content. So I've run my keyword search term again for interviews, and you can see that at the top here I've got over 15,000 results. So that's quite a lot to be looking through. So we've got these filters here that might help you in terms of narrowing down your search results or the number of results you're getting in the middle of the screen here. So the first one we have is the option to search within your results. So this allows you to search for a keyword after you've already run the search, but it's only going to be looking through the resources that you've got here in the middle of the screen rather than across all of the content. So do bear that in mind. We also have the availability filter here. So depending on how your institution or university has their access set up, you may be seeing some items that have like a purple padlock in the top right hand corner. And that's just a visual way of indicating to you that that is a content type that's outside of your current subscription. If you are seeing any search results that do have that icon, you can click into the content available to me filter, and that's going to take them out of your search results. My computer is set up to display all the content, so I'm not quite sure what your access will look like, but just something to bear in mind if you are seeing that padlock icon. We also have these filters here just below the availability filter. So the publication date will allow you to, will allow you to select the date range from when your resources were published. So I'll drag that. So we're going from 2010 to 2020. So just resources from the last 10 years. And that's narrowed down our search results by almost half. We also then have the discipline filter. So if I just say show more, if you scan through that list there, these are the same disciplines that you can browse by from the options from the home page, but we've also got it as a filter that you can apply after you've run your own keyword search term. And if you just wanted to filter by one or two of these disciplines, you just need to unselect the select all box at the top here, and then just click into the ones that you're interested in. So I'll just click these two. And then you can see that we're down to our number of results by clicking those. And then we also have the option to filter by our different content types. So this is where I really want to sort of focus in on the different content types that we have available on the platform. So we launched our first module, Sage Research Methods Core, way back in 2011. And in this module, we have a good range of content. And in there, we have books and reference content. So there's just over 1,000 books. And all of these books come in the 5 categories here. Mainly because they have a slightly different focus in terms of what they're covering, but you can choose to filter by any of these if you want to. Just some to point out, the little green books are special to Sage and the blue books as well. And these really deal with a particular research methods concept in detail. They're about the same thickness as a typical chapter from a larger textbook on research methods. But the idea is that you can go to one of these and just get all of the information that you might need or a thorough introduction to that topic. So the green books cover quantitative methods and the blue books cover qualitative methods. Also within Sage Research Methods Core, you're getting our reference content types. So these tend to be shorter entries, so really good if you're just starting to understand new research methods terminology. So you may want to have a look at that if you're working on a new project. So there's encyclopedias and dictionaries. We also have around 390-ish individual journal articles. Hopefully they're fairly straightforward. And also within Core, you get around 75 videos as well. We also have 4 other standalone video collections, but we'll come and have a look at video a bit later on. The next content type that I want to have a look at is Sage Research Methods Cases. So we have 2 collections of these, Cases 1 and Cases 2, but they're both the same content type. And cases essentially, if I just scroll down, I can find cases here, just so we're getting a list of cases. Cases essentially are a reflection written by a researcher after they've completed their research project, talking about the things that went really well in their research and some of the things they might do differently if they had more time. They also talk about some of the challenges they faced and some of the justifications that the researcher had to make in order to overcome any challenges that they face. So sometimes they're the detailed items that are sometimes missing from the methodology sections, for example, in journal articles. So these are a really great place to go if you want to find out how other people sort of justified their choices. They're broken down into these manageable sections so that they're really easy to digest. And all of them come with these learning outcomes here, just at the top. And then towards the bottom, we can also see that there are a number of exercises and discussion questions that also accompany these, so that your researchers can reflect on what they've been reading about if they're using it independently. But you may also want to, use those to help you in your teaching as well. So a really great, ready to go teaching resource. The cases have the same functionality as we saw with the book chapter earlier. So you can download the case as a PDF, and you can also get a citation for it, add it to a list and share it in the same way as we saw with the book chapter. So I'm just going to go back to my home page now and click on and run my search again for interviews. And the next content type we'll focus in on then is data sets. So our data sets, like cases, are split into two different modules, but they're the same content type. And you can get to those by the content type filter and then going to data sets here. And data sets essentially are a series of practice and teaching data sets, which allows researchers to practice their data analysis techniques on someone else's data before they do it on their own. So it's really great at helping build their confidence when approaching their data for the first time. Some of the feedback we were getting when we were developing this module and this content type was that librarians and faculty members and teachers were spending a lot of time sourcing their data and making it suitable for their students to use. And this is where we really wanted to help with that challenge. So if you're involved with teaching data analysis techniques, you can just go to data sets and hopefully find something that will be able to help you. So the data sets come in the three tabs here that allow you to navigate the different sections of it. So the first section that you'll land on is the raw data. So this is an example of a qualitative data set, but we also have quantitative examples as well if you're involved with statistical methods or quantitative techniques. And what you can do is download the raw data here, all the different exemplars, and that will then allow you to have the raw data on your computer ready to run the analysis. The teaching and learning material tab comes with a teaching guide. So this gives some ideas about how to use data sets in teaching if you are involved with teaching data analysis skills. And the student guide is the set of instructions that explains how to actually do the data analysis technique. So it will give you some information about the type of data collection method that was being used. And then if we just scroll down, you can see that the parts or steps are broken down into these really detailed sections, parts 1 to 4. So that will allow you to replicate what the researcher found, these researchers here, what the researchers found themselves when they were doing their own analysis. So I think a really great resource if you're involved in teaching data analysis skills. The next content type I'm going to show you then is videos, and you can get to videos from your search results by using the content type filter, as we've seen already. And if we go to content type here, you can then select all at the top and go to video. And that will just filter by the videos here. So that's one way of accessing the videos, but I just want to show you an alternative way, which is by clicking on the logo here and then clicking on the tile. So this will take you through to the video sort of sub home page. And this will allow you to then see the 4 different standalone video collections that we already have. So these all have a slightly different focus in terms of their topic coverage, but these are all separate modules. But I just think it's quite nice to show you how to browse these separately if you're interested in seeing the videos in a particular collection. So if we go with this collection here, practical research and academic skills, we'll then have a look at a video page. So videos, I think, are a really great resource to use if perhaps you are wanting to show a video to a group of students in class, or you just maybe want an alternative way of learning about something rather than reading a textbook. They just provide that extra alternative medium, I suppose. Someone's just asked me in the chat, to access the database, you can get to it via the Libraries Administration website. If you do have any specific questions about access, you can you can ask them in the chat, but that's just what someone's asked me to mention to you in the chat box. So this is the video page, and this is what your video page will typically look like. So you'll have your video here in the middle of the screen, and then you'll also have the video transcript here to the right hand side as well. So the videos are streaming only, so you do need to have an internet connection to be able to watch them. However, you can download a PDF copy of the video transcript here. And if I just press play, you'll notice that as the video is going through, that the transcript here on the right hand side is going to follow along automatically with where the video is. And it looks like I've picked a section. There we go. We can see there that when the author is talking, it's following along automatically with where he is. Oh, maybe that didn't load properly. Just let me try something. Oh. Okay, so I don't think that I'd loaded properly. So you can see that as the video is going through there, that the transcript is following along automatically with where they're talking. So this makes it really easy for your end users to be able to follow along with exactly where they are in the video. You can download the video transcript as a PDF, and that works in the same way as we've seen with some of the other resources. To the right hand side of the video title, we've got a number of these interactivity icons here. So if you wanted to get a citation for the video, you can also add it to a list, you can also share it. And then we also have these two icons here which are special to video. So if you wanted to get a link for this video, a permalink, you can just click on the link button here, and that will allow you then to just copy and paste the link there. We also have embed. So if you use your library resources in a learning management system or virtual learning environment, and you prefer your students to access your resources through that environment, you can just copy and paste this small piece of embed code into the relevant section of your VLE or virtual learning environment. And then that will allow your students and researchers to be able to watch the video in there. So just an option there if you wanted it. The last thing that I can show you about video then is that we have this option here called Create Clip. So we can see that this video is just over 18 minutes long, but it may well be that there's a small section of that video that you want to share with a group of students or anyone else that you may want to share the video with. And to be able to do that, you'll need to make sure that you've created a profile and that you're logged in. And underneath the video, if you just click on Create Clip, it will then open up some more options for you here, which will then just allow you to drag the sliders. And as I drag these, you'll notice that they update to reflect the section of video that I have selected. So I've just gone for a random selection here, but when you're happy with your selection, you can just click on the Save button here, and then that will allow you to save your clip either to My Clips, which is essentially just a reading list for any video clips that you have created, or you can save the clip straight to a list, and I'll save this to my Virtus Kuwait reading list. I'll click on Add. I'll get this message to tell me that my list has been created. And then to view my updated list, I just need to go to My Profile and then My Reading Lists. And then we can see that at the top here, and if I just go to View Details, that my reading list now has my video clip on. And if I click on the clip title, this will then take me through to a specially created clip page. And you can see that I've got this little sort of addendum onto the end of the URL or link there. So this is a kind of permanent link for my clip. So you might just want to copy and paste that link to share with your students, or you've got the same functionality with video clips as you do with full-length videos as well. So you can cite a clip, add a clip to a list, share it, and also embed clips as well and create permalinks for them. So a really great feature of the videos there. Let me just see. I think I might have some more questions. So let's see. So someone's just provided the website that you'll need to go to, the library's administration website, to be able to access the database Sage Research Methods. So do make a note of that link. It's available for you in the chat. So someone's asked, does the Sage website require a subscription for downloading the documents and using the materials on it? So your university or organisation will have a subscription to Sage Research Methods, and as a researcher, student or member of staff at that university, you will, as a benefit of studying there or working there, have access to a range of electronic resources and databases, one of which might be Sage Research Methods. So you won't need to, you would just authenticate in the usual way for using those resources. So you can download the materials and you can use the materials online as well. You've asked, can I register by my personal email or should it be an institutional one? So you would usually log on to view the full text of the resources with your institutional member email address. But I did mention that you can set up a profile here on the Sage Research Methods database, and that can be done using your institutional email address or a personal one. That doesn't matter too much. But the registering for a profile allows you to create lists of resources and create video clips. But just something to bear in mind, there's sort of two ways that you might get access. I hope that's clear. If it's not, let me know and I'll try and explain it in a different way. So I've just come back to the Sage Research Methods homepage, and I just want to talk about our last resource now. And this is Sage Research Methods Foundations, and this is one of our newest modules. And this was designed with the new or novice researcher in mind to sort of point them and provide a guided exploration of different content that might be able to help them in their research project. And I've just, to get to that foundations, just to recap, I've just come back to the Sage Research Methods homepage and then clicked on the Foundations tile here. And they're organised into different series or entries. So we've got foundation entries, other entries that sort of support the main ones. And then we also have pioneers. So these are basically autobiographies of particular academics that have really contributed to that particular area of research methods. So you might want to have a look at that if you wanted to get like a biography of that particular pioneer or author. So you can browse the different entries this way, but I think the best way is browsing by series here. Someone else in the chat just said you can use it in your campus and off campus by your university ID and password. Yeah, that's correct. So I've just come to this bit here, browse series, and these are organised alphabetically. So these are some really sort of broad stages of a typical project or areas of research that you may come across. And if you were a new student, it can sometimes be quite difficult to know where to start. And this is where we've organised these series into different topics. So if I'll go to this one here actually on qualitative analysis, since I was looking at interview analysis earlier. And we can see here down the left-hand side that we've got a number of different entries that are all types or related entries that are about qualitative analysis techniques. So we can see here that we've got an entry on grounded theory and situation analysis. We've got an entry here on how to do computer-aided qualitative analysis. And then we've got some different types of analysis that we might use here. So a really great way of me being able to see a comprehensive list of themes and topics that are related and grouped into these series. So if I wanted to have a look at qualitative content analysis, I can click on the link there. And then we can see that I've got in the middle of the screen here a really great entry that will tell me about qualitative analysis, content analysis. And I can see really easily here where I am in the series of qualitative analysis. And I can also see other entries that are related to that as well. So it is a lot more guided and a bit easier to navigate for the newer researcher, rather than using our sort of more detailed full text content as we've seen with some of our longer book chapters. You can search for keywords in the entry, as we've seen, download these PDFs, and again, we've got some of these same options here. So if I wanted to add this to my Virtus Create reading list, I can select it from the list, click on add, and now I should have 3 entries on my reading list. So a great range of resources there to be working with. Before we get to the end part of the presentation, are there any questions at all? Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions. So I'm just going to finish up the presentation just by talking about some of our research tools. So you have access to all of these research tools, and I'm just going to talk about 2 of these today, but you can explore these in your own time if you're interested. The first one I'm going to talk about is Methods Map. So the Methods Map is a visual and interactive tool that allows researchers to understand how different research methods concepts are related and how everything fits together in the research methods process. So you can see here that we've got our central concept in the green circle, and then to the right hand side we've got a number of narrower terms. And if I just read round that circle there, you'll notice that they are some key stages of a typical research project that you might have to go through. And if I just hover over browse here, I mentioned when we were talking about some of these browsing options that if I was to browse by topic, clicking on any of these links will take me through to the relevant section within the Methods Map research tool. So this is what you'll see if you click on any of those browse by topic links. So I can choose to have a look at, let's go with research design. And now you can see that that updates to be my central concept in the green circle. And then to the left-hand side, I've got broader terms, so I can is now populated. So it's really easy for me to go back to the concept that I was just looking at. And if I go to view more and just scan around that list, you'll notice that they are a range of different research design options that I might choose to help me guide the development of my research project. So if I want to click on one of these, I'll just go with experimental design. We can see that above each of the central concepts here, you get a small definition about what that actually is. So if you were just exploring options for the first time in terms of what might be the best option for your project, you are not getting too overwhelmed with lots of text telling you what it is and what it might be able to help with. You're just getting those key definitions. You can really easily, if that doesn't sound like it will be helpful for your question, go back to research design and choose a different one from the list. But you can see here that there's so many options to choose from that even if I was a more advanced or confident researcher and quite familiar with research methods, there may well be some options that I'd never heard of before. So I might actually find something that might be more appropriate to help me answer my question. So if I go with case study research, just as another research design method, I can then read the definition here. And if that does sound like it will be more interesting and I want to find out more about it, I can obviously look at some of the related narrower terms, or maybe look at case study research as a data collection technique rather than a research design framework. But also you'll notice that we've got this link here. So this updates to say search all content, and it's always the concept here that you've got in the middle. But if I click on search all content on case study research, this will then take me through to a list of search results elsewhere on the platform that will help build my knowledge and understanding further on case study research. So I think it's a really great way of demonstrating how different sections of the SAGE Research Methods database interact, and how you can move between different sections depending on what you're investigating. So you can use Methods Map as a research tool on its own, but you can also see how it can link to different sections if you want to build your knowledge and understanding further. So the last research tool that I'll look at then is Project Planner, and you can get to that by hovering over the Research Tools menu and then clicking on Project Planner here. Now, Project Planner essentially walks the researcher through the research process from start to finish in logical steps, and they're via these different research stages here down the left-hand side. And the idea is that the Project Planner tool provides a guide or a framework or a structure for what the researcher needs to consider at different stages in their research project. So we can see on the left-hand side that that's broken down into those different research stages, and they're sort of in order for how you might approach them from top to bottom. So if you were at the stage of, let's say, with research design, you can go straight to that research stage. And then that will open up here in the middle of the screen a number of questions or considerations that you might have to ask at that stage in your project. They might not be relevant, all the questions might not be relevant for every project, but you can really see how it breaks that research process down into much more manageable steps, so it's not as scary for your newer researchers. So if I open up what is research design, you can see here that this is quite a short entry. Some of the entries come with these really useful videos as well, but you have a lot of links that will take you to different sections of the Project Planner research tool. It may also link you to some books or other materials that will help build your knowledge on that particular concept as well. Let me just see if I can find another example. So this one's got a couple of videos in as well. Some of them might have these find out more links, linking you to other information. So you can see how that, again, as a standalone research tool, that can be quite useful. But also because the answers are quite concise, it may just give you everything you need to know about that particular topic. You can download sections of Project Planner, cite them, add them to lists, and share them as well. So exactly the same as we've seen with some of the other resources. So that really brings me to the end of the presentation. There was quite a lot of material to get through today, so I do appreciate that it might be quite overwhelming and you may want to review the recording. There is quite a lot to get through. It's one of our more complex databases, but I really hope that's helped to give you a good introduction to the platform and a bit more confidence in how to navigate it when you come to do your own exploration. We've got just under 10 minutes left, so does anyone have any questions at all?